Look at Avery. He's helping out the most by scooting out of my video. Thanks, bud. I want to watch you guys work because you're great. Everybody be careful and slow and don't break anything. Careful and slow and don't break anything. Look at that. Works perfectly. Who built this thing? Who built this thing?
I don't know.
There you go. All right, let's bring everything on stage now that that's coming out so we're not bending it or breaking it. Mark's rocking up. He's getting in there. There you go. Take it back on stage. Keep it on stage. If you guys like doing it that way, that's fine. Just keep everything on stage. As it's coming out, we got to keep it right up. Because if the steel's tipping down, it can break the flat. You guys on the flat can pull away from them, too. Everybody can pull away from one another, like tug of war. There you go. There you go. Now you're doing it. Now you're doing it. Together. Together. There it is. Yes. All right, let's pause and bring everything forward onto the stage. See how that steel tips down and can break the flat. Keep coming in. Come in a little more. Move like the whole situation in and then go back to pulling against one another as you're doing it. Yep, you're doing it. Okay. All right. Okay. Not bad. Very cool. This is the one I'm going to show because this one you guys are going to do this perfectly. It's going to look awesome. Don't back off the stage. I told you, you guys, it's perfect. I can feel it. It's about to happen.
Is it?
Yeah. Keep going. Throw your whole body weight in there. All right, I'm going to count, and when I say one, we're going to pull against each other. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Row, row, row. Come on. Okay, shutting it down. One more time. One more time. One more time. Just keep the wood in there. Keep your fingers out. Do it together. Communicate. Again, keep the wood there, protect it. All right, let's try doing the other way we were doing. Maybe we can get it to come out now. You gotta pull against each other. Don't hit that stage. Pull it against each other, go ahead. Ella's pulling and you're not pulling. You guys got to pull together. I can see she's got it further out than you've got, bud. Pull it. Pull. Pull it. There. Keep going. You guys got to pull together. She's pulling, so match what she's doing. When she's pulling, pull, pull, pull. Come on, man. Oh. All right, that's the rest of the brick that we need for the edge of Wormwood's house. We needed some more shingle, so I got that laid out and painted. One of these corbels is going to be more of a silhouette. So we blacked that off of the library. I may even put trim down this edge, and I'll put the black corbel in there to try and push that back in space, even though it's on the same plane almost. Don's here helping out, getting the shingles up on there and put the downspout in. I got the window trim with foam in the library, except for the window sill and the lower piece is wood. So I could get a really good attachment to the stud. And then I got a great surface to put those plants and stuff on. I wouldn't do that in the foam because I need the infrastructure or the structural integrity anyway. And we got to play around with this here, but we used 3-inch. I wanted lightweight and circular downspout and everything because it's in the 70s and it's England. And this plastic, more of a scupper. I'm just trying to get away from what American downspout and gutter and everything looks like. Not to mention I'm going to spray it copper and then use that green patina on it. And again, all in an effort to make it look more British or foreign, even though we know that it's downspout and gutter, but not by going to the store and buying contemporary new American stuff. Hopefully we're going to retape some of those so they don't get so wrinkly, and it's hopefully interesting and cartoonish and foreign, but not obviously basically stovepipe is what it is. And I got a bigger phone and I put some squares of tape on the numbers to protect them. Got it spray painted yellow and a longer cord spray painted yellow so you can go further away from it. And we did a caricature of the family without Matilda, everybody watching TV, which I sketched in pencil and the art teacher painted up for us. I got that cove across the top, some artwork and a little bed up there. I don't think I'm going to put the foam on the railing this year. I think I'm going to make it look like all just shiny brass. And again, we got an outlet and some switches for their house and stuff too. The remnants of the brick that are a little bit smaller, we'll keep that because they're uniform. They're just a little bit narrower. They're the remnants of cutting off the pack of like billet foam. And we can have a different style of brick in the future. And you saw me get the wainscot and chair rail and stuff on these. I still need a little dry brush, a little touch-up edge. I may make some of this highlight color and just catch the edges of the panel all the way around, because though this is a great looking finish, I think, from the house, the way that they're lit flattens them again. And I wanted this body line in there. So I'm going to do what I can to put that light color probably just on the top and what looks like the framing, and then leave the panel a bit darker and try to catch the top edge of the baseboard and stuff too. Essentially, these can be used in the future just like this. They may, I guess, pop the window off, but the judge's panel and the chair rail and the baseboard can be changed in color, and whatever else in the walls can be changed. And they may even want to leave the windows for a while depending on what production. But essentially, for our purposes, I just want to pop that dimensional, quality of them a little bit with color. These still need some color. All these monogram plates and the larger ones, I'm going to spray them the same way I do the downspout, probably with bronze, and then pull straight down with that patina, and so I'm catching the edges of all of the lettered, but also I guess I'll probably skate down it with the patina because water and everything drips straight down, so that helps that when it just zoop across there. And then you can come back and just catch the edges of the letters too to make them pop a little bit if one wants to do that. So that'll be what we do there. I think I might put a little bit of crud. I'll put a turd of great stuff foam in the end of the, maybe I'll try to get black. You can buy it now, but I'm not sure of where all I can get that. But either I'll paint it black or I use black great stuff foam in the gutter to look like sludge and crap. And before it sets, I'll put some plastic, like weeds and grass and crap like that in there just for a laugh. As though, again, you cut through the gutter and you can see the trash, built up in it, the crap built up in it. And then once, now we know where this mortar level of the foam is, we can cut this Luan flush that protects the edge of it. And we'll probably end up, even though we paint this thing and everything, I'll end up spraying this edge of it black. We tuck it in behind the curtain to obscure this aspect of what's on the house when we're looking at the library, but we're going to have to dial that in there. And then this was rough cut, so I know where I'm at. But I'm going to leave the bricks to run long out into that space, and then probably carefully make it so that it follows the end of bricks and make that the opening that we're looking through. because I was worried about being able to cut with that hot knife normal to this face. It would have been nice to think you could, but the blade of that knife is just too bendy, and it's just a made in China thing. I may keep an eye out for a more expensive, more robust, better quality one, because this is the problem that it creates when it's too bendy, and it's only heating in the center of the blade, so the tip of it isn't as hot, and it starts slowing down the tip, and the center's cutting better, and you end up with this kind of problem. So for all the effort that I put into making this surface nice and normal, or in other words 90 degrees to the face of the wall, I want to showcase that. And so we'll get right away from that shape with what we do, with the brick. I put that up with 4-inch screws because this is 3 inches thick, so I got about an inch into where I know there's framing on the edges of this wall using a fender washer, and I pulled that in basically flush, so I'm hoping that the brick can be applied right over it. And we'll do a little touch up here too, because the way that we put these around the corner, they'll be long, cut with a fresh razor, and make all the geometry right. And then we'll touch up where this white foam showing with red. And once everything's all base coated like that, then we'll use a dry brush technique to catch the texture that's on that foam brick, make that texture pop out. And I may pick at it and chip it up some before we even touch up the cut edges. So chip it all up a little bit, blow that all down or vacuum it off, and then touch up all the cuts and all the chunks and with dark red. And then when you dry brush and you catch those chunked out areas, it really looks like broken brick and showcases that texture, and it makes it look less perfect, which is what an issue we've got going on with Honey's house, I think. But I'm not going to go to all that trouble. We're going to make this paper and wrinkle it all up and apply it, and then expose some areas of this brick, and then I might go so far as to chip up those areas that you can see. That way we're not going overboard doing all that, touching it all up and just covering it with paper. We'll just do it where the paper holes, they're supposed to look like plaster holes, are showcasing the broken up bricks. So you want to be smart about that. But I think at this point we're letting all this paint dry. We're gonna go get a bite of lunch, come back, and this got blown up on top of there, but that's really good texture. That styrofoam has got great brick texture, and just a dry brush is gonna make it jump out at you. We'll do a lighter color dry brush, so we'll take that red and we'll put a little white in it probably, or I might use an entirely different color. You never know. I'm crazy. All right, back soon. Well, it's crunch time, and I just had a hard time making sure to set the camera up and have enough battery. I apologize, but you see that this here is what I was going for, this look. I was hoping to, make each of these short bricks clearly broken, etc. It's just a lot of more work than I thought it would be, but for what you end up having to do, it's actually quite effective. And so I focus my efforts in this opening that's going to show us this like vanity window. So we got all of that sort of cut back with the hot knife, and I turned the full depth into bricks, and I like kind of gouged out where the mortar was. And you got to look at broken out brick enough. I've seen enough of it, but you could use reference. And Don built us a fake double hung sash and got some soffit on the dormer, and got the shingles and stuff all around. He put the rest of the cove molding up. We're going to do the doorknob gold, and we got the HVAC and the light switches. I got a better phone, like I was saying, and a longer cord, which is what I wanted to see, and balance some other stuff, a fake outlet. I may have to make a little flap. I'll probably end up using the same wallpaper and make a strip and double the bottom half of it back so it's not sticky, and the top half can be sticky, and it could just be a flap like that. So I can do that tomorrow. The corbels can go up in the library when we're ready. I got the black corbel up here, and we masked and painted that black. I put the panels up, finished trimming the window. We got some touch-up and stuff to do. I was just looking at the images that we're going to use in the library. I think they look best sort of centered either side. I put a clock on the top. We got to get that trim going over the top tomorrow. I put some hooks that I just came by. I'm going to put these up in my own house someday, but I put these here. I got, I think I forget her name, the librarian. I think she's an agrarian librarian. We got all kinds of plants for the windowsill. We got a plant bag that's kind of cute. I can hang it here. I think we'll need a coat, and we'll get some stuff from the wardrobe or costumes downstairs and hang a few coats and a hat or something on these hooks, and they'll help to keep this door shut, although we got the magnets, and I applied that with spray glue and just used some gaff tape on the edges of it. And just the one panel repeats here without getting too esoteric and crazy about the spacing and whatever else. And I was going to do the outside corner with trim here as well as there, but I think I might just leave that, gaff it if I don't think it'll stand up to scrutiny, but trim this up here, go a little bit bigger across the top and down, corbel, the fake light switch here. I'll find a place for the white outlet there. I got this back edge blacked out, and then we'll put the downspout and the gutter and all that stuff here and tie that in there, which is laying over here. And so I just painted the back of it black. This is another thing I didn't showcase, and I'm just waiting for it to dry. But the Crunch'em crests, I did all these together. I put some like kind of a copper color down in a messy way on top of the black, and then I pulled the broom through the green and went straight down with it like I was saying I'd do. Then I jabbed at it a little bit with the broom with the green on it here and there, and then I got some coffee brown and some actual bright gold, and I just barely touched the can, and it spits and spews and comes out, and you can kind of shake the can, and then those drips just kind of fall and hit randomly, and you get to the sparkles and the sheen, and it just turns it into a pitted, bronzy, patina. And I got that on all of these. I got the back of them black just in case I think I don't want to sit them down flat. I want to sit them on a block so they cast a shadow. And then from behind, I painted them. I may have to do it again, but you can paint gold and catch the edges kind of gold so they jump out at you. But right now I'm letting the black dry. Got this cool stencil effect. This is a poor man's Harry Potter that I'm building. This is basically Hogwarts, or any part of, basically of Hogwarts, and some other sort of imagery and, features, the British boarding school, kind of a vintage look. So anyway, the back of the downspout is blacked out, but the front of it all got that same patina to look like bronze, or brass, or copper really is what it's supposed to look like. I got this fake little spigot I'm going to stick center underneath the window over there just to give it some more exterior residence, kind of detailing. The knob for the wormwood side is going to be gold. And and then I've got these I keep talking about how I'm going to do that. Probably every segment I shoot I talk about. We'll get there. I've got a remedy coming for the wheel situation on this thing. I got a special pillow to kind of make that pop. And I got to get the rest of the wainscot on Trunchbull's office. We got an image that we're gonna run for the security cameras. I'm gonna try and get some cabling coming down and going in behind there. And I gotta get the paper up on Honey's house and tear it up some and stick it down. So the paper's laying over here. It's only getting to be, normally I go until like after midnight, but it's only coming up on 10. It's probably for the best to go home. My wife came home today. I haven't seen her. Don's wife went and got her for us. Sweetheart that she is. So this is the paper that's meant to fit, and Carla got it all white glued together, so it's kind of all one. I'm going to wad it up in a ball probably before I leave. I'll take the painter's tape off. These are some things that I glued down on this circulation desk, some fake plants. I found this lamp, which is gelled, so like it must have been on the piano in the years past, but I think it's got great color and shape. Stack of books. And so I just got to remember to get a few things from home, such as I was standing here telling myself not to forget, but I'm going to forget it. Anyway, I'm going to have to get serious and try to remember and write stuff down because I have tomorrow's opening night. So see what we're able to pull off. Maybe do some time lapse during the day, maybe not. Do some walkthrough action at some point maybe. They got to do a cue to cue, moving the sets around, making sure to hit spikes, alter and modify some spikes. I got to get more trim and stuff up. Oh, the come in, we're open sign that we've used. We started with, it actually says, sorry, we're closed. Actually, it says the right thing on both sides, but the sorry, we're closed sign will face us here, implying that come in, we're open is facing the other way. And it's a big old vintage style that someone hand painted. I keep it on my door on the shop, but we made it for Little Shop of Horrors, and we use that door for Little Shop of Horrors. But that's got to come back with me, so that'll finish that window up in that door. That you can get away with the tin foil if you don't ask too much of it. Putting the grid on top of it and the plants and trimming it up and having other stuff going on, you get away with the tin foil. That door is a little bit questionable because there's no grid in it and it starts to look like tin foil. So you have to, these things only work sometimes when they're, some of their parts and whatnot. So yeah, I just got to remember to stay on the ball, bring everything that I need with me. And the other thing that we have to do is clean this whole area up, take any of this material that we're not using down into the basement. I don't think we're going to put the gates on these, but I think it'll be just fine. Oh, and Don got some, I ordered from McMaster. I got these plastic plugs, and we put them in the end of every one of these here, so when you tip these over, they don't scratch the stage anymore when we're loading and unloading the flats. So, and I got to put the bottoms on the library bookshelves. I think I could get a pass if I didn't do that. But I think it's going to be smart to let some of this stuff dry, go home, have a nice night's sleep, get right out of bed, super early, get back here at 7:30 in the morning, and rock and roll until, opening, we're got to be done by like 5, probably 5:30. And the doors open at 7 and the show starts at 7:30. So at this point, we have less than 24 hours. All right, man. Wish me luck. We'll see you. Well, it's 6:30 in the morning on opening night, and I'm just making sure that my plan to trim the top of the library goes as smoothly as possible, up and down the ladder, and pulling angles off of framing that's rough and has broken corners like dimensional lumber's got. I can do it, but I just as soon walk in and make 4 pieces today and put them together, or put 2 of them together at least and take pairs of them up. So I just quickly opened the model, which I've been relatively religious about building to, and I've built this part, and I can see, I can quickly dimension this, and I can take this information with me. But my long dimension on that is 57.851. One of the nice things about the drawing space is that it'll dimension fractional inches for me, but I can tell you that this is, that's going to be like 7/8 roughly. It's long, and then you've got a long and a short in terms on this piece, and a long to a short, because this angle tips back relative to that piece. So that's what we would call a rhombus. Anyway, and you also want to split the angle like this so that it goes around and the width remains equal. So I can tell you that my angle on the piece is about 75.5. On account of this whole thing being out of round numbers, for some reason my roof pitch got pushed to 59 degrees rather than 60, making this 149 from here to there, which to split is, like I say, 74.5 on those pieces, and then up here at slightly different, yeah. So we got almost 60, but not quite. This is that 59-degree roof pitch. So we'll set our saw to 30 degrees to cut this angle, and 15 here, essentially. And and our lengths will be important. So we'll have to watch what from there to pull it out as an aligned angle. This is a sketch space, so it's being kind of a little bitch. Here to here, we want to watch. These pieces are going to be tough. Aligned. Because it's tough to hang the tape on an open angle beyond 90. So you hang the tape on this side and you plot that, but then you got to take it over to here. Then you hope that this measures out and comes back around with those angles on it and round about that amount. Close enough here. The most important thing to me is that this appears to be straight and aligned and level. But then we also want the joinery to keep from sitting open. So in my view, the thing to do is to put this piece up and this piece up and make sure they're up there level. And then I'll probably use a scrap to put angles and lengths on the top, because it won't be the same width necessarily. And I'll put it up and see that it goes to the center line. I can put a center line on the end of this king that's actually shown here. Ridge king, I believe. And just check my work, because I can live with whatever these are here, especially if they make it. I can check that measurement and make it to this. And then the angle could put this finished ridge up and down a bit based on trying to keep the joinery closed. And we have wiggle room here because I can set this whole thing a touch above. I can go an inch or even 2 from the actual edge with my composition, moving it up. But I want to remember that we keep running into the trim. So this is a game time decision for the sake of making it look really nice that you can do, but you want to make sure that it gets pushed around on stage at the cue to cue, and that we've got all of our trims and stuff adjusted perfectly so that with this tiny bit of extra height, we don't crash into something. So that's not the only thing I've got on my mind, but it's something I wanted to check this morning while I've got the CAD. So now we're going to go in and knock this thing out of the park as soon as I finish my coffee. All right, I got the one more Crunch'em Hall crest that we forgot. Came a little late. It's going up here, and I got the chair rail and baseboard on. I'm not going to bother with paneling for that. You don't see it, and it's only out for one scene. I didn't get down to installing the other 3 wheels. I got shallower pans, shorter casters, and I had some steel plates ordered up to be plasma jet cut to go into the bottom of the new pans to keep them from deflecting for us, but they're not going to get here in time, I don't think, but that's fine. The brick's looking good, so I'm basically down to just the brick on the dormer, and then I got the one little one right there. I'll try to remember him. And then crew can load all the stuff against the back wall and take it all down into the basement. Can run that door down, sweep, and my stuff is sort of consolidated like it always is to the bench, although it's not super organized. That's okay, and should be good to go. It's 3 doors at 7. I think I'm going to be in the way on the stage after 5, so basically 2 hours to get the brick up on the dormer and get this far with the dry brushing, various colors and stuff that I've got, highlights and shadow, and then pack it in. I got all the other little detail stuff taken care of. I found that vintage mini poster for War of the Worlds. I put that on the library desk, obviously. Secured some stuff, put the cord through a hole in the desk and put some hot glue. I didn't hot glue these books, but everything else has got a little dab of hot glue. I got the vanity. I started thinking maybe the shelf should have been high enough to clear her face, but then because she's a little kid, she would have to reach up. But it may have thrown a weird shadow, so I'm glad it's down. And the coat and the purse and some other stuff will hold the trap door shut. And got the trim around the top and put a little bit more of it across the top of the window. This door opening ended up being too low, like I said, because this was necessary to fortify this wall. So I pushed the trim up and added this sculpt crap that you can buy at Home Depot and these old corbels, and made like a breastboard type of a situation. Pushes that top of that door up, makes this look more grand, even though that ceiling's low. Actually, it never even got painted, so I hope nobody minds that it's red. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out if that's a problem. Yeah, I don't really know. Probably should be painted. Oof. Anyway, this fixes up that door a little bit. I better get to work and see if I could find some time for that. And the paper on Honey's house, I meant to get some white and hit the edges of it to give it some indication of being like plastery, perhaps. So we'll see. Just checking. Bear toward me, please. Downstage. Come on out. All right. Keep coming out. Keep coming out downstage. Okay, let's move across the stage. This way toward me. All right. That's good. I think we're totally cool there. Just stop there for 1 second for me. What was your name again, man?
Luke.
Luke. Can you watch from right here? So you got the main point here, and it's got a ridge like that. And I'm gonna bring this black trim in.
Okay.
And you can, if you stand right where I'm at, you can see it. Like the ridge is here, and the trim's coming down. I'm trying not to touch that at all. So just keep an eye right there. I'm gonna come in a few.
Watch out.
What are you bringing in the psych? Yeah. Psych coming in. Ready to load up the flats. That's where we're staging stuff here. Getting things swept up. Had a little bit of the failure. I should have sprung for the right 3M spray glue that won't dissolve the EPS, but where it over dissolved the EPS and it was getting a little bit delicate and letting go, I used 77, which is just as tacky. And in my, I actually should have probably done that in lieu of the Super 90. The Super 90 is boogery, and the quantity of the liquid really cuts in like acid to the foam, where the 77 melts, but as a mist, it's more uniform melting, so you get a better almost weld bond from the chemical melting. If you can get the glue on both things and press it together and leave it to melt together, basically, you've chemically welded it, and it can be even just a little bit better. So I made my repairs with 77. Might have used 77 for the whole thing. The one thing about 77 that I've learned is over time, a year or two, it doesn't like dry out and become a permanent bond. It remains kind of gelatinous and soft, and is sort of, it can lose some strength and be a little bit like gooey down the road. And I don't need this thing. This panel is going to have hopefully a second life, maybe just as the lower and upper stack together if the opening won't work for us or doesn't survive the strike process. But anyway, I'm not in a big hurry to wreck shit if I can help it. The bag didn't hang correctly last night. I kind of wanted it to be flat, and it was kind of wadded up, so I'll pin it to the foam tonight. Just some small adjustments, but overall they know what they're doing. They're pros. Keep stuff charged up. Time for a night two. Well, I got my photography yesterday, but then my wife called and said her blood pressure was up again, so it took a little time. Ran her to the hospital, made sure that everything's okay, which it was. We may have a cuff at home that's a little out of calibration, we'll see, but got to visit our son, Henry Arthur, in the NICU, which is never a waste of time at all. And so today we'll do the set striking. I'm going to open the doors up, get some tunes on. We'll set up a little time lapse for this. Like I say, there'll be a lot of things that aren't fully taken apart, but we're going to take this piece right down for the most part to its fundamental components. I will say that I looked for the upper stair stringers left over from Adams before I made them new for this. And so this time we'll be keeping those and setting them aside because they are at the same sort of angle and aspect ratio as the lowers that we'll keep intact. And so if we want to go in any direction off the top of those lower stairs in the future in another production, we will have a set of upper stringers to go with those. And of course the door isn't going to be torn down or anything. So, all right, let's get this thing up and running and see how far we can get. I wanted to time it too, so we're at 11:15, and we'll see where we can get here by the end of the school day because we get help from students. And then after that, it's just about clearing things out and organizing the basement so that we can be productive out of there for the next full year until it's time for the musical again. Okay, let's get to work. I had really hoped to put those shallow pans and stuff in this piece, but I ended up with just some color coordinated. It was still meant to look busy, but maybe like towels on the floor or any other, it works with character to have some stuff lying on the floor in this. And honestly, even if it didn't, it looks better than those stupid yellow pots. From some angles, this one could have been brown and dyed into that, or been lost in the shuffle with the base of that coat tree. But this one out front, even if you paint it a dark color, I was just super pleased with this little trick here. I was thinking I might have masked off the back of the television set and either this area bodywork and this bodywork, painted it silver. Could have been cool. I guess we could do a little, what if there could have been more with the finish of these to make them a little bit punchier. I kept stretching the cruddy, that's the wrong side, but I kept stretching that muddy, cruddy water, and initially it was dark enough and punchy enough, but then as it thinned out, it got a little bit flatter when we brought the lights up on it. So you can be more aggressive with shading and color differentiation. This is more of a film, not that the quality of the pieces is good enough for film, but the finish, in some cases, looks better on camera than it does under the big lights on a theater situation. This is, I think, the first one that I did. So it's just punchier and better for theater. And you may even say it looks better for a camera application stuff too, depending. This piece will stay together. We'll just pop the art and decoration and stuff off from it. These prisms will stay put together, and the flats will stay put together. The tops will slip right off. The detail signage and stuff will come off. The railing section will come apart, and they'll get stacked quick. The lower stair will stay together. We'll take the shelf and the trophies and television set off, set this tech stuff back down where it goes, pop the desk off, take the wall apart, set the hearth aside, take the fire out, put the books and the light and stuff back where that stuff's put the framed images, keep the chimney, potentially even keep the ripped paper on it since it's been finished. Once the ripped paper went up, it's also had dry brushing and the spray black finish and stuff. So there'll be witness areas on it where the paper used to be, and so I want people to be able to make the choice when they come to use it again, whether to leave that like plaster look on there or take it down and you have to do a fresh new paint job on the brick, so it won't be as handy if you don't keep it. If you'll be married to that. Corbels will come off, windows will come off, and foam trim panels and stuff. That little filigree or sculpt, the pictures and stuff set aside. That corkboard's coming home with me. I bought that. And take the skin off of this thing, take the phone, put that aside, and this hardware stuff I'll put together somewhere. Light switches are good to have. I just, like I said, came across these. I guess it's like a cheesy cover for an apartment. If you're sick of your old or feel like they're dangerous or yucky switches, you can put this on, I guess. But it worked great. It would even have the action and the noise, depending if you needed that. For a theatrical production, and it's just flat backed. You don't have to create any or accommodate any kind of guts to it, which worked well. And the blind covers, where I just illustrated outlets on, it seems weird to throw that on there, but I think that it really helped. In the devil's in the details, Never ended up painting the ceiling, didn't need it. Thought I had all this. I put the mounted magnets in there, and I bent and slid some steel around here, but the magnets didn't make it up to the surface because the drill went too deeply, and I had intended to put some epoxy putty in there to bring them up close enough for this to just click and be held. But the low-tech theatrical solution, just hanging something in front of the door, helped to busy up the look of the piece and held the door shut from swinging. And even this like green tinge that's happening and was left over on those, you'd be surprised, but honestly, that color would be a nice dry brush on this. It really bends your perception of color, or it really can expand it and stuff to work with color in a theatrical application, because the lighting, if you look at the final photography and some of the stop motion on this, for example, the living room turns, iridescent shades of pink, and the phone goes with it and everything under certain lights and stuff. So a variety of mood, obviously green for things that are creepy. And so you don't have to be as literal. This, obviously sort of implies that mid-century honey oak and, green is green. But you can gain a higher perspective of using color when you start really getting into it. These are, I'm really proud of how much utility there'll be in these in the future. It's, you know, it's innocuous enough. The panel, the chair rail, and the real wooden baseboard and chair rail protect the foam panel to a certain extent. This stuff can come off from there, and they can, you know, be used for the middle school production. They're, especially for that show, being 10 feet tall, and you can put them together and create a room, you know, any number of things, and have kind of an impressive canvas when you start a project. And they could even leave some of these things for a little bit and try to get away with them, or use them for inspiration. See what was done here. 3-color, you know, we have the color, and then with a little bit of a, it was probably this tone, I call it white, but you can either add black, but in theater we normally just use straight black, and then the color is the medium, and then the color with a light tone, in this case a cool tone, because this was overall supposed to be a bad place. You could pick a yellow or a golden, and you can make your highlight color, and you can warm things up. And I might have gone that far over there too, but I just didn't get, I wanted to do something like this in the library, but then I ended up in the library and Honey's, or Wormwood. We didn't end up with really any dry brush on the woodwork. I did a little splatter, but it's not like you see any of that, just to break that up some. We could have, but ultimately didn't, and it wasn't the end of the world. So you have, you know, those are the things that you can throttle if you're running out of time. You know, just leave that stuff. And then in the case of this here, it was pretty low tech. We just dribbled this crap all over it. The trees from Shrek broke the show up really well for one musical number. Unbelievable value in these. I have been thinking too that, I mean, the depth of that Fat Daddy-O's 8-inch cake pan, 4 inches, to accommodate those Rose brand wheels. I mean, these don't weigh much at all. You just want a nice quality caster, and it could have gone with smaller. So honestly, the 2-inch pan and the smaller caster would be better for those trees. You'd have more clearance in the root kind of shape. I don't know, they're buried in here, I guess. Here they are. You'd have more clearance there. So this is the pan that I didn't get a chance to put in there, but this is the same Fat Daddy-O's round layer cake pan, but half as deep. And that would practically not even stick out of 2 layers of plywood when cut into a flat base. And when reinforced with steel, either hand cut circles and bolted up as a sandwich, or I chose to have them plasma cut. I just didn't get them on time. You can have trucks, I guess, like this big circular yellow one, or the bases of these trees that are this thick. You get a 1/2 inch off the floor and an inch and a half in the truck's thickness. And even that fringe, like I see when I sit in the house, I can see right through underneath that 1/2 inch under these trees to the cyc behind them. So I was thinking when I was watching the show, these trees would benefit from fringe like that if you could get it in black or dark brown or anything like that, or even dark green. And it would ultimately, you could put it facing downward to clean that up and knock that light out and blend it into the floor. And you could face the same stuff upward to give it a little bit of a grass fringe all around before you chose whatever, plants and flowers and stuff like we use for Shrek. So just a really nice way to not have to be up with framing on top of a big heavy caster, like some of these pieces that we put the weight of children on, or just the weight of the whole piece. So, and this cartoony downspout worked better than the American, off-the-shelf downspout. This was just 3-inch stovepipe, and half a piece of cardboard. I think I took some pictures of this thing, but I drilled holes through for the wire stem of that fern, went into it, and then drilled a hole below and came back out. And so I basically went in, around, and out and sewed the fern stems, and then filled with hot glue on the back. So I didn't want any of those falling down and dragging around. And I chose not to put any more greenery on because we have nothing but styrofoam for the first 4 inches here almost. So I probably could have glued right to it, but I just didn't want to complicate matters. A little bit of greenery goes a long way. I never got to putting the black great stuff in the gutter and putting some sprigs of greenery in there to make it look like, dirty gutters full of growing plants and stuff. I thought this is front and center on the house, and I thought it would have been a really nice touch, but I just couldn't get my hands on that black spray foam. It was after hours for Ace Hardware on Friday and Saturday and Sunday every time that I thought of it. Unfortunately, the Ace Hardware around me is the only place that you can get the black pond and landscaping great stuff off the shelf. So I should keep it around in my arsenal. I reach for it kind of a lot especially for theatrical and stuff, because you haven't got to paint anything. It comes out black. You can do a lot with it. It builds up and holds. I might have even glued the problem brick faces back on with it, if you can use a little dab, because there's a void behind them where the foam was, eaten away. And so there's room for it to swell up a little bit. And so if I was careful with a little dab of that and then held this with some painter's tape for an hour, when you come back, it may fill the void and not push the thing off and have a far better bond. So, things that it's not that I don't know, but there's the next step that you have to implement the things that you know about. And it's just, things are moving fast when we're doing this stuff. So I think I'm going to get some of my favorite light cues up, most flattering light cues, bring the legs in, and it's just a lot of handwork because it's mostly just me, and get all the photography that I can. I had to shoot from the back for the or the time lapse. I had bought seats in the house and set my tripod up, and I wanted to get far nearer with the time lapse so that each of the stills out of it had better fidelity. But we asked that there's no photography during the show, so having a camera set up would have just been confusing for everybody, even though, I could have done something about that. But every year I try to get really good photos of cast and lighting all in front of the finished set, which just doesn't happen till opening night, the very earliest. So we tried this year. I may throw some in this edit. Chris is going to put this video together for me, I think. But you can go to the website and see all the photography of this set, all the finished photography of this set. I'll probably use it in the thumbnail of this video too. So that'll be what I get now. And then we got to tear this bitch down. Like I say, that circle will roll back in the basement. Most of the furniture belongs to the school. The chair and the 2 pillows are ours. Those slats will go back. These will get packed up and the steel frames will go back down. I got plastic ends from McMaster. I got a bag of 25 and we just used the 24 and put them in here, so this shouldn't cut the stage anymore and you won't get a weird sight line where you look all the way through the tube and see the glowing cyc behind it, drawing your attention to it. But this is really the only thing that's really got to get torn down to its fundamental parts. Trims will be set aside. Shingles will come back off carefully. The full foam panel around the window, the front of the dormer, I'd like to probably pop off of there. And I used very few fasteners. We went with 4-inch screws so that we were getting into the wood. A fender washer here and at the same elevation practically. So there's one probably underneath this brick. So I'll carefully remove a couple bricks, take the whole thing off in one piece and set it aside, and hopefully get some more mileage out of it down the road. Same with the up on top. And the panels, the foam panels from the wainscot. Oh, yeah. Should be a relatively easy strike. I'm going to try and put the trees up on the piano box as a storage solution, because it's just a dead space that catches crap anyway, and the trees are far more value to the production, I believe, in the future. There's plenty of headroom here, and they'd be easily removed from there. You get right up here, 3 or 4 kids, roll it over and bring it over and set it straight down. It's just about the perfect amount of surface area. And since we got it cleaned off finally, I think that's best. We haven't got a thrust to take apart this year. I like using it, but it's noisy and heavy. And, it goes right out and right across the front row and right back around the whole pit. We don't have to tear that down. So we got a pretty easy strike this year. It's actually kind of nice. It ought to go, pretty smoothly. And then we'll cut this video together, so stay tuned. You've already been watching it, but I got to get to work. Well, that's most of what I wanted to get done before we get the students involved. It's easier to let them hunt and peck for Phillips head screws, short ones holding the Luan, on the skin. They can pull this paper off. I'll continue to work out ahead of them, but they can move components that will stay together downstairs. I've sort of grouped things that belong to me. I was thinking those would lift from the glue that I put them down with, but they're so cheap. I mean, they themselves aren't even, I think I almost want to say that that's stamped, like die stamped cut, rather than CNC cut. When you CNC cut something like that, it's a quarter to a half an inch deep or whatever. It has more substance. So I'm pretty sure those are pressed, and press cut and pressed into the detail into like not balsa, but essentially some kind of wood product. So they're cool looking, and they go up. And that could have gotten a dry brush. That's a situation where when you have texture or 3 dimensions like that, if I could have put together a highlight color and broomed it on the way I did with Crunch'em and caught the tops of those and the edges of the trim, it could have been even, you may want to maybe even use this yellow with some of the off-white in it as a highlight color and aggressively pop all that stuff. But we just don't start laying that out and don't like it. You have to let it dry and then put the original color back down. So, it's not the end of the world, but when you're on a time crunch, you want to make sure that you are sure of what you're doing. So I continue to avoid dry brush highlight. Like I said, I didn't get it done on these pieces here, but we didn't end up, kicking ourselves, I don't think. This was like half as strong in the light on the set when we brought the real lights up. So for all the effort in timing this and getting it all in there the right way, I'm happy to get it. But sometimes it could be argued that you don't necessarily need that much detail on a theater set. If it's closer and more intimate venue, absolutely. I have poor vision at a distance. I have hereditary cataract, so that maybe just what I can see. Maybe others enjoyed that level of detail. So certainly this area here versus the rest of this jumped out at me on, while watching. So, yada yada. I'm gonna get some time lapse of taking this apart. Something I'll mention about this are those pots with the wheels in them just set up in that rabbit dry. I didn't glue them in the way I did with the trees, so that they can just fall right out of there and be. I'll probably leave the wheels in the pots in the container of wheels for now in case this piece is used again. And I'm gonna add the wheels and stuff to that next time it comes out on stage for me. So we'll keep that stuff that we bought, lying around. And yeah, just waiting for my little helpers, and we can make another pass at this whole scenario.